DJGamers.com.
Alright everybody, welcome back to Console Wars of the Past here. We are taking a look now at another Sega add-on. Have you seen enough of these yet?
No, we haven't.
This is the Sega 32X. This was a mushroom-shaped design that was meant to extend the arcade experience. What was the tagline?
One of the worst video game systems ever. Poorly thought out, poorly executed, had hardly any games supporting it. Just a complete debacle, really, and we'll get into that. But the machine itself is
actually a pretty solid piece of machinery.
It's just basically an add-on cartridge.
Yeah.
This plugs directly into the Genesis.
I think it's actually supposed to be like a video card or something.
Yeah, it basically adds another processor to the Genesis.
Now there's a small note here. There are metal clips, but we're not going to mess with those because those things are flimsy as hell.
Yeah, they go right on top of the flaps and keep this piece of
monstrosity,
this fire hazard, from catching anything on fire. It's
now just for visual effect. We left the Genesis on top of the Sega CD here, and left the IR for the wireless controllers in it just for giggles here. But you look at this monstrosity.
It looks like a robot.
Right, let me zoom back a little bit.
Compared to the Sega Genesis 3, this thing would eat it.
Yeah, it would. That's like, mama.
But we're not done yet.
Oh no.
You put together this beast, and then, now for added effect, we're using the Sonic & Knuckles add-on cartridge and an EA cartridge, which you wouldn't use either of these with the 32X.
No, but just for added effect. Now, look at the size of that monstrosity. Oh dear Lord.
It's almost the height of this Sega CD.
Wow, it is.
So
now, this is pretty much what we call the Sega Genesis 32X CD Tower of Terror.
Or the Sega Holy Infernal Terror.
Or the Sega Holy Infernal Terror. Now, turn it around as to the reason that we call it that. Because with all the power adapters you have to hook up, it could likely cause an inferno.
One power adapter, two power adapters, three power adapters necessary to run this machine.
Wait a minute, where do you plug in three power adapters? There's usually only two plugs in a wall.
In 1992, you stretched it across the room. That was your only choice. But Sega was thinking of the consumer with this, and they released a little bit longer cord for the 32X that would go a little bit farther.
So it would go across the room?
Almost.
So, I hope you have power plugs close to each other, because you're going to have a little bit of trouble.
You had to rearrange your home entertainment setup to accommodate this machine and its 30-some games. What, 20-some games?
I think it had 36 total.
36.
For the 32X.
So, what was a 32X game?
This was a 32X game. Star Wars Arcade. This is vacuum sealed from our shop here, so as you see, good solid condition. So the cartridges were a little bit longer than Genesis cartridges, not much bigger, but we decided to leave these in the box just for show.
Yeah, the boxes themselves slide out of the top of the case. They're just paperboard. Yet again, the cheapness of the system. They didn't stick with the nice
plastic cases.
The nice plastic cases that the Genesis had. So they're a little flimsier, but they work.
And there's Virtua Racing Deluxe.
One of the better games for the system.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid looking game.
So we'll take a look at these two, as well as another Sega title.
Yeah, we'll take a look at a third title, and pretty much that's all we're going to cover, because there's not very many games for it.
It's really all that's worth looking at. It's not a great system, not a lot of great support for it, so we're really at a loss to show anything for this system, so we'll
kind of leave it at that.
We'll fight our way through it and show this thing off and show you why it failed miserably in the marketplace and why Sega maybe should not have bothered with it.
Yeah, so
What more can you say?
let's spend about 15 minutes. Welcome to another one of our console wars of the past. This is version 3. This is the Sega Genesis Super Nintendo 16-bit era. And today we are taking a look at some of the 32X games for the add-on for the Sega Genesis.
Which, this is technically a 32-bit console.
Technically.
Technically, if it had succeeded.
If it wasn't completely feeding off of the Genesis, too. Kind of like a
leech.
Kind of.
That is one way to describe the 32X.
Now let me throw out some wiki facts about this game. It was the first driving game to try to use fully polygonal characters. Polygonal, I think I said that right.
Polygonal. Don't look too bad.
There's also, in this version, which was ported from the arcade version, there's 2 extra cars and 2 extra tracks, which, you know, is a nice little add-on. Thank you, Sega. It has a VR view system, which allows you to choose from 4 different views. I don't know if we can
Let's
do that.
see those views, Ray. Oh,
nice.
That's called VR view. That is high technology.
That's pretty nice. Oh, inside the car.
Oh.
Ghost
Now,
Racer.
I don't like inside the car.
I don't care for it either.
We'll go with standard view.
And what was the other one?
Actually, I kind of like the
That
Spy
one
Hunter
worked.
top-down view type thing going on.
Now, if you just had missiles. And this, it says this port was closer to the arcade than any other ones that were released. Because there was a Sega Saturn port and a PlayStation port, I believe.
Well, what I'm noticing with this...
They put it on PlayStation?
I believe I read that. Maybe I'm an idiot and I didn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but this game is really smooth. The 32X had some decent processing power. Obviously, as you see here, limited 3D processing power.
But at the time, you know, this was...
In '94, this was hot stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing, though, I'm noticing is compared to early CD-based games, the animation's really smooth. The frame rate's really smooth. So it doesn't look bad.
It's kind of like a monkey ball effect, though, if you notice. Like, the background's there and the level's just tilting around it.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. Of course, that's just in this view, too.
Yeah.
But
this is not the preferred view to play this in, most likely.
I don't know. I like it. I like it better this way.
Now, the 32X plugged directly into the Sega Genesis Model 1 and 2 systems, right into the cartridge slot, and was essentially another console. It had its own power supply, and the AV comes out of the 32X to the TV, right?
Yeah.
So it's
really a mess of wires.
Basically, the Genesis is a pass-through for the whole thing, and it is a mess. It is a bad piece of hardware. They decided in January '94 that they wanted a new console ready by December '94. So, 11 months. You need this product designed, researched, developed, created, and on the market. And they did it. It's impressive that they did it, but it's a piece of crap. You know, but it did pull off 3D when that was still new and revolutionary.
Mysterious machine has appeared in homes across America.
32X. Redouble his powers.
Go! Just stick it in your Genesis.
Alright, baby.
Can we see that again?
32X.
Let's go!
Increase the power of the unit. Increase the power of the unit 40 times.
Hey man, your set was stolen. Back up! Back up!
UJGamers.com